Hey everybody, I'm here with Sarah Chamberlain. We are doing an interview for the Soul Purpose Project. Sarah is in Mexico. It's so great to have you here, Sarah.
Thank you. Hi, good to be here.
So, first question for you, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do for work right now?
Okay, good question. So I'm Sarah Chamberlain. I'm an Australian, currently living in Mexico, and I'm a writer, but namely a blogger. So I started a blog in 2011 before my boyfriend and I left on our round the world trip, and I've been writing about the journey since then, and that, I suppose, is my job right now.
Fantastic. And what's the blog address?
It's sarahsomewhere.com.
Okay, perfect. So, Sarah, how would you define a soul purpose? What does that mean to you when you hear that?
Well, it's something that I've struggled with, and so I've done a lot of thinking about it. A soul purpose, I guess it's your authentic life. It's kind of what you're here for, I suppose.
Awesome. Great answer. So, do you know what your soul purpose is?
Actually, I really love the name of your site being like the soul purpose. Because usually when you hear that phrase, it's like the one purpose, the soul as in singular. And I love that you've done it as in soul, as in spirit. And so in relation to your site, the soul purpose, for me, look, I'm not 100% clear. I do feel like I am living my purpose. I haven't arrived at it. I'm on the journey. And the reason I know that I'm on the journey is because I feel that I'm coming into myself, that I'm actually living the life that was designed for me, in that my insides are kind of matching my outsides. And it hasn't always been like for me. I've got a lot of jobs that haven't been what I would call my today for me, yeah, writing is definitely part of my soul purpose. But I've been thinking about it, and in fact, it's not really just the writing for me. It's about connection. And so, what I really love and what I feel is part of my purpose for being here is to connect with people on a true level. So, without the facades and the pretending and the all of that stuff that we get enough of in the world, I feel that my purpose is about true connection, and writing is a part of that for me.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, Sarah, would you say that everybody has a soul purpose, in your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, great.
Absolutely. And, yeah.
So, how did you get clear on what yours was? What was your process around that?
Oh dear, it was a very messy process, to be honest. And am I 100% clear on it? No. I mean, I am in the process, and it can still be messy. Honestly, just taking one step at a time, and showing up. For me to write that first blog post was really scary, and I didn't feel qualified to write a blog, and I didn't think anyone would ever read it, and but I knew that writing was something that I'd always wanted to do, and so I just had to begin. And I think, honestly, just beginning that thing that you enjoy and want to do is really the start. And I don't think you can get clear on what your purpose is until you take that first step. And you have to try it. And maybe that thing isn't your purpose, like maybe it's not for me, but the only way to find out is to try it first.
Gotcha, great advice. So in terms of your day-to-day life, do you think that you're living it, like living in your purpose?
Yeah, I do. And as I said, I think with me, I'm very open about the fact that it's not cut and dry for me, and that I'm still, confused, and that I still am, kind of battling in a way with finding the confidence to live my purpose. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. And so I like to be very honest about that, because while I do feel that connecting with other humans in an honest way is my purpose, I'm still figuring out the hows and whys of doing that. But yes, I do feel that today I'm showing up, I'm writing, I'm connecting, I'm being as honest as I can. And so, yeah, I am living my purpose.
Well, fantastic. That's amazing. Um, in terms of the relationship between purpose and money, what's your opinion on the relationship between those two things? Do we have to choose between money and passion, or can we have both? What do you think?
I definitely think you can have both, but I think you need to prepare for it. I know with me, you know, I don't make a heap of money out of my purpose, and I had to prepare for it. And the way I prepared for it was working in a job that I didn't necessarily enjoy or consider my purpose, but it was able to provide me with that stability, I suppose, to then follow my heart and my purpose. And hopefully, you know, I do hope that, you know, my writing and my blog will lead to, you know, a stable income, but I'm not there yet. I absolutely believe it's possible, and there's many examples of people doing it in the world. And so, you know, I hope it's possible for me too, but I'm not averse to, you know, having to make money another way if I need to. You know, and I don't think people should be averse to that. You can still follow your purpose and your passion and have a job that perhaps isn't your purpose and passion. It may not be ideal, but I think it's, you know, it's one option.
Great advice. So, in terms of the sort of your process in getting here, what's a decision or action you made in the past to get you on course that you would make again?
Is probably going after a really crazy dream. And so about 2.5 years ago, my boyfriend and I were living in Australia. We had 2 apartments. We each had a job that was, you know, fairly well paid, but nothing crazy. And, you know, and it was actually him that came up with this idea that we would travel indefinitely and follow our passions. He's a designer, I'm a writer, and we would do that. And really, it just seemed like such a wild, crazy dream that it just wasn't possible. You know, we had 2 mortgages, we had, you know, bills, you know, piling up on the kitchen counter. We didn't have a lot of money saved, and it just seems like there is absolutely no way we're going to go from this to that. But sure enough, we did. And, you know, it took a lot of hard work and a lot of belief that it was possible that we really had to kind of muster up. And a lot of the time I really didn't know that it was possible, but we just kept supporting each other and stepping towards it. And obviously we had to make big changes. Like, we stopped spending money. We changed our life completely. He worked 2 jobs, I took on extra hours, you know, we sold our homes, we sold all of our stuff, you know, so it was very, very drastic. And from the outside it probably looks like we were crazy. But I would absolutely do it again. I hope I don't have to, because I don't intend to get a job and a lot of stuff again. But yes, I would do it again. It was the scariest, craziest thing I've ever done, and yet it was absolutely the best thing. So, yeah.
So, Sarah, you said that you thought that people might think that you were crazy. And overall, what was the support that you received from your community, or were you encouraged or discouraged?
It was mixed. You know, I think, I wouldn't say discouraged, but I think, you know, I don't come from a wealthy family. In my family, it's about, you know, seeking security, financial security, and owning your own home, and that's the way, you know, my mother was brought up, and that's the way I was brought up, and so going against that is kind of a little confronting for people, and it's only out of worry, perhaps, and care and love that people are concerned for you if you're making a drastic choice like that. So I just think, you know, if you haven't done something before, and if the people around you haven't known anyone to have done what you're doing, it's hard for them to support you. You know, they're not going to chase you into the fire. And so, you know, the support was, I actually found it online, you know, so through my blog, I started following all these blogs of people who'd done it before, and it was like, it was normal for them, and that's how I gained the courage to do it myself, was just that other people had done it and written about it and shared about it and showed that it was possible. And so while the support in my real life community maybe wasn't huge, online, you know, there's huge support. And so I think I kind of had a bit of both.
All right, fantastic. So in terms of the obstacles that you faced, would you be able to rattle off a couple of the major ones that you faced in making this transition?
Yeah. Well, I think the financial obstacle is huge, and it's something that I see a lot in people. And so that was probably the biggest one. And I will say that I really do believe that anything is possible for a lot of people, especially a lot of people in the Western world who are living that normal kind of life of working, and they have an income, you know. And so that was probably the biggest hurdle. And for me, it was just a complete change in how I handled money and how I spent money. It just, once I had this dream, it was like, anything that I spent that wasn't for the dream had to go, you know, so it had to be about forwarding the dream. And, you know, and I was a shopper and a spender and, you know, go out for $100 lunches and, you know, and all of that just had to go. And thankfully it just fell away because the dream was so important that I didn't mind. You know, my friends minded, and some people did mind when I couldn't go out and do things with them, but, you know, you just have to keep your eye on the prize, and it was absolutely worth it. So I think financial is probably the biggest one. Fear of failure is probably the next biggest one. And, you know, I don't know how you deal with that except just know that it's normal. You know, I was absolutely terrified. As much as I wanted this, I was also very, very afraid that it would all end badly. And, you know, and I imagined all the worst case scenarios, and really all I could do was go, well, the worst case scenario is I do fail and I don't like it and I don't, you know, become a writer and my boyfriend and I break up and I'll have to come home and live with my mum. And is that really that bad? You know, and the answer was, well, no, I'd rather risk that. So really, I think they're the two biggest ones, fear and finances.
Fantastic. Two big ones. In terms of like your emotional, the emotional obstacles like fear and things like that, what were some of the tools that you deployed to manage those obstacles?
Therapy. I did actually go to see a psychologist before we left, and because I was just, the fear was just, it was crazy, and I really didn't know which voice to listen to, the voice of follow the dream, take the risk, or don't do this, what are you thinking, you're an idiot. And so I just really needed a objective third party just to talk through this stuff, and really it was a great help for me just to be able to lay it all out there, lay out the fears. And I mean, it doesn't have to be a therapist. You can do this, you know, with a trusted friend or a mentor, or, you know, just for yourself, you know, write out. It's really getting the fears out of your head and down on paper or out into the world, and really kind of picking them apart for what they are. And most of the time, the fears are pretty unfounded, to be honest.
Yeah, generally that is the case.
Yeah.
So what's different about you now that you're living your purpose versus when you weren't?
Everything. Yeah, everything. What's different about me? I feel that my external life is a true reflection of my internal life, which I never felt before. And that's really where it's at for me, is like, it's a whole package. You know, I don't have to show up in the world on this day as someone and then go home and become myself. You know, I can be who I am all the time and reflect that, you know, through my writing and through the different projects that I'm creating. And because of that, I get to really kind of grow into myself, you know, and I'm absolutely still growing into myself. And so it's kind of like this seamless life that I never experienced before. And as a result, I'm much happier. I feel a sense of freedom. You know, my boyfriend and I were talking about this the other day. You know, I wake up in the morning and there's excitement for the day. It's like, what's the day going to bring? Even if I have to, you know, work on something or show up for something, you know, it's an excitement. It's not a dread. You know, and I used to sort of wake up and drag myself out of bed and put my uniform on and go to work and just really have to really muster up all my energy just to be okay with it. And I didn't even know there was anything wrong with that. You know, I thought that was normal. So now I'm just very, very grateful that it isn't like that.
Fantastic. So Sarah, how has your impact on the world changed since you're living your purpose, in your opinion?
I think it's changed tremendously. I think when you show up in the world as yourself, and you're able to show yourself authentically, it changes people. And that's just what it is. That's how it's been for people who have influenced me. it's always through their honesty about their struggles as well as their, you know, triumphs. You know, I have a community through my writing and through my blog that I created. It's a community of people who are wanting to live authentic lives and who have been through struggles and who are in need of healing. And it's just amazing to connect with people and to receive emails from people going, you know what, you really helped me, or I can really relate and I feel less alone. And really, for me, that's the game.
That sounds like very, very, very rewarding. So in terms of the idea of work and your purpose, do you believe, like, what do you think the relationship is there? Do you think that the purpose has to be work related, or is there room to have purpose outside of that? Or I know you touched on it a little bit, but can you elaborate?
Yeah, well, I don't think it has to be work related. No, I don't think it has to be. I think for me, I would like it to be. But I believe, you know, there's just so much room for what your purpose is, and it could well be being a mother. It could be having a family. It could be painting. It could be volunteering, you know, and so no, it absolutely doesn't have to be connected to work.
All right.
You know, in my instance, I would like it to be, but I think that's really up to the individual.
Good stuff. All right, last formal question. What do you feel are the ingredients for success for transitioning into your soul purpose? And what advice would you give people who are seeking their own soul purpose?
I think an important one is surrounding yourself either in person or online with people who are also on a path to living their purpose. For me, it's really the biggest motivator. When you're just on your own and you're trying to live your purpose or discover what it is, or you're looking, and we have to look inside for the answers, absolutely, but I think having a community of people who are also doing it is really, really vital. And so, you know, online, as I said, blogs and forums, and, you know, even in your community there might be, you know, places to meet and people who are really wanting to live their purpose. And I think that's really, really important, to just encourage each other. You know, we should all be encouraging everyone to live their purpose, no matter what it is.
Oh, I'm glad you feel that way. So any final thoughts or any kind of message you would like to send anyone who's watching this video?
Well, just don't give up. You know, I don't believe it's an easy road. I definitely believe it's worthwhile. And there are always stumbling blocks, and there will absolutely be moments where you will question everything about yourself and your purpose, and I think that is completely part of it. But don't give up. You know, have your moments, have your cry, have your crisis. I had one yesterday. and keep going, take another step. You know, we just never know what's ahead of us, but if we give up, well then, you know, we do know what's ahead of us.
Oh, Sarah, this has been such a wonderful interview. Your perspective is a beautiful thing, and thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. And yeah, just thank you so much for your time and the difficulties in getting an internet connection in Mexico. Certainly appreciate that.
Thank you, Laurel, and good luck with the project. I can't wait to find out more.
Thanks so much, Sarah. You have a great day.
You too, Laurel.